Hello there and welcome to this LinkedIn Live presented by Sopra Banking Software. My name's Will Kitson, Head of Content at Sopra Banking Software, and today we're going to be talking about open banking use cases, from what they are to how they can help banks and customers. Now, to tackle this topic, I'm joined by our very own Alex Ivar, Digital Program Director at Sopra Banking Software. Hi Alex, Happy New Year. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Happy New Year to you and to our audience today.
Lovely stuff. Well, why don't we just jump straight into it with a really basic question. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what we mean when we talk about open banking use cases.
Sure. Well, open banking is about the exchange of data and services between a financial institution and a third-party provider. This to enable new experience or to enhance customer journeys and processes. But the question is, what new experience do we deliver? What do you do with this data? And that's what we want to talk about in the next 15 minutes.
Indeed. And I mean, it feels to me at least open banking is a really hot topic right now. Do you think that's fair to say? And if so, why do you think that's the case?
Absolutely, that's much more than fair actually. Open banking has been a major topic for more than 5 years already. Well, initially, most of the effort was put on being compliant with the PSD2 regulation. That is mostly done, at least in Europe. At Sopra Banking Software, we have helped many clients expose PSD2 APIs to be compliant. So in Europe, it's globally done. But many other geographies have introduced or are introducing regulations similar to PSD2. Australia and Middle East, for example, but also Mexico and many others. So when we look at open banking usage, we saw a drastic increase from last year. Part of it is due to the pandemic, of course. Well, digital is accelerating all over the place. But part of it is simply the growing maturity of open banking. In the UK, for example, usage doubled between January and September last year. So while it is not yet completely mainstream from an end user perspective, open banking needs to be addressed at a strategic level. It's a breakthrough, a disruption. 45% of banks are investing more than 100 million euros in open banking. And they expect a return on investment. So no, most of our clients come back to us with a simple question, actually. How do we benefit from the open banking wave? That is what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, and it's definitely the question that seems to be on everyone's lips. I mean, and before we really dive into that, I'd be really interested to know from a Sopra Banking Software point of view, what about our clients and how do open banking use cases help them? Alex, I know you're in the perfect position to answer that.
Yes, we hear that question many times. And the first answer we provide is always the same. There is no silver bullet. There isn't a single use case that works for every end user and every financial institution. That would be too easy. So you have to consider your revenue and cost structure and your business strategy. How can open banking benefit them? You can focus on increasing your revenue or reducing your operating cost or improving your customer experience, or all of that at the same time. A key principle, though, is that all these use cases should benefit both ends, the end user and the financial institution. Because you have to keep in mind that end users will have to agree to share their data, and they will only do that if they find benefit to sharing it. On the other hand, financial institutions will invest in open banking only if there is a return on investment. So you have to build a use case that is a win-win situation.
Yes. And I think that one of the really interesting things about open banking is how it's, for many people, and maybe it's just me, it seems like quite an abstract topic, but at the same time, there are obviously, and this is what we're talking about today, very practical usages for it. It might help for certain people to clarify what open banking use cases are, to really look at some of them in action. So maybe Alex, you could talk us through some real-world examples of open banking use cases?
Sure. There are many different open banking use cases. I've picked a few for today just to give you a hint of all the possibilities. So the first and most frequent use case that you'll see on open banking is what we call multi-banking. It's the ability for end users to see all their financial data from different institutions into a single app. It's so frequent that actually it's becoming a must-have in digital banking apps. It makes sense also because in France, for example, 42% of users have accounts in different institutions. But one of the drivers here is actually the fear of pure digital players. Because with open banking, some people, some experts foresee that end users will use a single financial app. So will it be yours, your competitors, or maybe new entrants? You risk losing your client relationship to a better user experience. You need to go beyond simple user experience. To increase your chance of being the app that customers use, you need to go beyond showing your clients their financial data. You need to help them understand their financial situation and make the right call based on their data. That's basically what a PFM is for. With PFM capabilities, you start to add value for your clients above simply showing them the data. So for example, by categorizing the transactions across all bank accounts, you can show your end users how much money is dedicated to housing, groceries, utilities, subscriptions, and how much is really discretionary, actually. So in order to help users properly manage their finance, they can define budgets and they'll get notified if they're not on track. Notifications are absolutely key. They are particularly important because users shouldn't have to check their banking app several times a day. If they are notified for every variation in a pattern, for example, a higher income or lower income, it happens, double charge, or if they are notified for a specific forecast, if they are told that the forecast gives them a negative balance or maybe a higher balance at the end of the month, well, that's very insightful for them. These notifications will enable the user to take a decision on what to do. And again, that's great. But the end user is not the expert. You are the expert. The app is an expert app. So it should go beyond notifications. The app should provide recommendations that the user simply has to approve. The majority of users are interested in alerts and recommendations on their financial app. So by providing this, the satisfaction of your users will increase. And so will their engagement with your app. So they use your app more, you get more data, and more data to analyze means that your recommendations are more relevant, and it's a virtuous circle.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I mean, can we zoom in on that one word you used, recommendation? Because I personally find that really interesting when we're talking about open banking. I mean, what do you mean by recommendation in this context? What sort of recommendations are we talking about here?
Yes, well, all sorts of recommendations are possible. Let's look at a few examples. If we consider cash management recommendations, if the app forecasts that the user has more money than he or she needs on his or payment account, we never have more money than we need, but on the payment account, maybe. Well, it can suggest to move that money to a savings account so that you earn interest on your money, or maybe to an investment account. And of course, it's the same for the other way around. If the app forecasts that you're going to have a negative balance, it can move money back from your saving accounts to your payment account and save overdraft. So this will optimize the interest your user gets from his money. That's very good. Of course, this use case assumes that the user has a saving account. So another recommendation possible is for a new banking product if the user doesn't have a savings account. Now imagine, Will, and I'm sure you recognize yourself, you earn a fantastic end of the year bonus. You're very happy with your bonus, but the app will see the bonus and he can recommend that you open an investment account. That's a very insightful recommendation. And not for you, but for somebody else, a user could receive a notification and a recommendation for a personal loan to reach his or her payday in case of need. That's very important too, because you need to reach your payday at the end of the month. So here, the return on investment for the financial institution starts to be more concrete, beyond customer satisfaction and engagement, which are absolutely key, of course. But here, we're talking business and revenues. Direct revenues, it's very important. And we should explore many possibilities. For an avid online shopper, you can suggest an insurance package or maybe a better credit card. For an international traveler, specific international services or insurance. Well, actually, your sales strategy can feed these recommendations to achieve your business goals. But always keep in mind one condition. You need to remain customer-centric. Because conversion rate for personalized offer is very good, much better than standard conversion rate. It can be double the standard conversion rate. So it's really worth looking into it. And in fact, if you integrate a machine learning algorithm into your recommendations, the targeting can be especially efficient and so your conversion rate even higher. So we're talking additional revenue here.
Well, you're talking about bonuses. I don't think you've talked to my boss last year. But speaking seriously of revenues, I mean, I imagine that cost reduction is also a factor in all of this too, right?
Yes. Well, if your focus is more on cost reduction, there are many use cases we can look at. But one of the interesting one is payment, or on the payments use case. Today, most payments go through a credit or debit card. It's well-known, widely used, so it's everywhere. But there are fees for credit card payment, and the fee can be steep in some particular context. Whereas in most of Europe, a SEPA credit transfer is free of charge. So if you're the one paying the card fee, well, you'll be interested in using the payment initiation service of the PSD2 regulation to reduce your cost or the cost to your clients. So for example, if you're offering e-wallets and your clients top up their e-wallets by card, there is a fee hidden somewhere. But if they top up by payment initiation, the cost is significantly different. I mean, reduced. So same revenues, less cost. That's interesting. But if you want your clients to use this method, keep in mind, they always need an incentive. So what could be the incentive here? There could be many, but why not propose a PFM within your e-wallet? They get the benefit of a full PFM, you get access to their data, and you become their main banking app. So of course, they're going to use PIS because that's part completely integrated in your workflow, in your app flow. So you will get your fees reduction and they will get the best customer experience they can. You win on all counts. Oh, by the way, Visa won't be acquiring Plaid after all. So I don't know if you followed that, Will.
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
It's been a 1-year discussion, but in the end, Visa won't be acquiring Plaid. So the game is on between cards and PIS. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, very, very interesting. I mean, what about recommendations in terms of the kind of partner ecosystem, Alex? Is there anything you can tell us about that maybe?
Yes, well, I've talked a lot about recommendations on banking products, banking services. And having access to all your customer data, your visibility and understanding of their situation is much wider. So you can partner with other service providers for recommendations. For example, you can look and analyze subscription of your clients. By analyzing their subscription, well, you can know what kind of music streaming service they use, or what energy provider they have. If you negotiate with a different service provider, with different partners, specific and optimized offers, especially for your clients. Well, of course, you get a referral fee. So it's additional revenue. Your clients, they're going to save money because you negotiated with this provider. They're happy too. And the provider actually get new clients and very targeted clients. So strong conversion rate. They're happy. That's the best kind of deal. Everyone is happy across the board. That's great.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to. That's certainly what we want to see. Now, I'm interested. We've really been talking about the impact that open banking can have on the end customers' day-to-day lives. But maybe, Alex, you could tell us a little bit about the impact that open banking can have on the significant moments in a customer's financial lives. Because, as we all know, that's for banks and for financial institutions, those moments are really key points.
Yes, there are quite a few moments that are important, and to be honest, a little bit painful for the user. So if you look at customer onboarding, that's one of the most painful experience a user has with this bank. Regulation means that banks need to collect a lot of data and documents. Okay, but that generates a lot of effort and frustration on the end user, who's used to very simple onboarding with other digital native providers. Think when you register to Netflix, 3 clicks, that was it. That's not your experience with your bank. And in some countries, France, for example, most of the customer acquisition happened during a mortgage origination. And mortgage origination is even more painful. So banks invest a lot of money into campaigns and customer acquisition, and the investment is at risk due to poor customer experience, because there is a high drop-off rate in the conversion step due to the complexity of the process. And that's bad, that's not normal. Open banking can improve that. You can get direct access to your data because you can connect to the source of data or to a partner that has already received this data and treated it, validated the data. So the user effort is limited to a simple consent and validation. It's a few clicks and one password. Okay, that's very easy. So of course, the drop-off rate will be reduced from an end user perspective. But even better for you, you get the data in a format that can be processed automatically. We're not talking PDF here. We're talking data in an electronic format. So by getting this data in a format that can be processed automatically, you just reduce your own treatment effort, the workload for your teams, and even better, you get up-to-date, reliable data. Honestly, this can be a game changer for some end users who struggle to prove a recurrent income. Think freelancers, for example. I mean, I work in a digital environment, and in digital, we have many freelancers. Yeah. It used to be complex to properly assess the revenue and risk, of course, associated with this type of users. Now, well, not anymore. Thanks to open banking, you see a very strong string of data proving their revenues across many months. That's brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, what you're really talking about is the individuals as customers who can benefit from this, right? But what about businesses as customers? I mean, what can they stand to gain from open banking?
Indeed. Well, first we have to acknowledge that the pandemic has been very difficult for businesses. I mean, many have required loans to simply survive, and their activity is very much stop and go at the moment due to the lockdowns. I mean, it's painful for them, and well, for everyone, but especially for the business. So in this context, you need fresh information to make the right decision for a loan. And you need to make the right proposal because these businesses are exposed to a difficult situation. Well, open banking gives you the ability to connect your banking data, their banking data, with accounting data in real time, with no effort again than a simple consent. So by combining accounting data on one hand and banking data, well, you can push a strong proposal, the best proposal they can have, And of course, they will agree to that. So again, it's a win-win situation. Because can you imagine, in this context, again, the time saved by small business owners to share data with a click instead of scanning documents, sending email, or even worse, bringing hard copy to the bank. That's from the last century. Well, fresh data will also increase their chance to get the loan they need to keep their business open. So for them, it's a game changer. And for the bank, again, it reduces the effort to process this request and increases its conversion rate. So everyone wins. That's the kind of deal we like. Well, I've talked about loan origination, but keep in mind that the same applies during the life cycle of the loan. With open banking data, you can continuously predict the risk of default. Again, in this context, pandemic context, default is a real, concrete risk. Having access to accounting data and banking data, you can always predict accurately the risk of default. And SMEs, a very good point, SMEs are so much more willing to share their data than individual customers. So they're easier to reach with the open banking use cases because they agree to share their data, they get their loans, you get your revenue. Brilliant. Well, we've talked about end users, businesses. To be honest, there are many other use cases we can talk about. Wealth management, loyalty program, remittance, many others. But the key point here is that most processes can be enhanced thanks to open banking. And your business strategy should drive your priority. It's not, don't shoot in the dark. Everything is driven by business. Again, it is crucial for the adoption of an open banking use case that both end users and the financial institutions benefit from it. Because to be honest, end users are still reluctant to share their data due to security and privacy concerns mainly. It's growing as we've seen in the UK, but there are still concerns. So they need to clearly identify the added value of doing it. And the financial institution, well, they are investing a lot of money, so they need to see the return on investment. That's a pretty normal and healthy business decision. Oh, maybe one last remark. I've talked a lot about how to keep and improve your customer relationship through open banking. But to be honest, it might not be the best strategy for you, for some of our clients. And especially if you have a specialized product or service and you want to benefit from a wide distribution. In that particular case, or a few others, but in that particular case, you can follow what we call the bank as a service principle. You work with partners to acquire customers, and you operate the banking services. So you can build a revenue sharing model where you operate the services and products, but someone else actually finds the market, targets the client, and ensures that there is a strong conversion rate. It's a very efficient model when your service is niche and you need to increase your reach. Well, you don't own the direct client relationship, but keep in mind that you still need to follow the regulation like KYC, even though you don't own the relationship. But in some cases, you don't need to own the relationship. Again, we need to refer you back to the business strategy of the client. That's the main driver here.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, bank as a service is another one of those hot topics that we hear a lot about. Thank you so much, Alex. And I've already taken up way too much of your time today. But I do just want to loop back finally with one more question for you. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about what Sopra Banking is doing to help its customers leverage the power of open banking use cases, because that's why we're all here today, right?
Yes, well, Sopra Banking Software, we help all our clients, but to be honest, we have two key approaches to support our clients. First, very simple, we are a software provider. So we have built a software that implements different use cases based on open banking, and it's implemented in what we call our digital banking engagement platform. So the idea is that by orchestrating open banking connectivity to financial data and ecosystem of partners, well, we are able to build open banking use cases, such as the ones I've talked about. As we've seen, open banking can benefit multiple use cases and processes. And don't limit yourself to one, you should implement several. Our platform provides the capability to support all of those with a single solution. It's already pre-integrated with multiple partners to support all these use cases. So you get a single provider, a single point of contact for all the different partner services. Easy to deliver. But keep in mind, beyond the use cases I've presented, our software can also be used to implement ad hoc use cases that would benefit a specific client based on his business strategy. And actually, that's a second way we can help. Sopra Banking Software is part of the Sopra Steria group. So we have the ability to support our clients end-to-end, from their strategy definition and business case construction with our consulting division, the customer experience with our UX design division, to the implementation and rollout with our software and service divisions. So we are used to gathering all the expertise in a joint team to help our clients succeed. We're one of the very few companies that can deliver end-to-end services like this.
Yes. I've already taken up so much of your time, as I say, and I know that we've gone over. So I think that's a really good moment to wrap everything up. Alex, thank you so much for walking us through open banking use cases. It's been very enlightening for me, and I'm sure very enlightening for everyone who's been watching. And of course, thank you for watching as well. We really appreciate your participation and all your engagement. I know that some people have been asking questions in the live comments. Unfortunately, we don't have time to answer them today, but we will do our absolute best to follow up via email if we have your email address, or we will connect via LinkedIn and answer your questions there.
Thank you very much, Will.
Thank you, Alex. If anyone would like to learn more about open banking, you can find 3 articles in the tab of this LinkedIn Live event. It should be under the tab called named Details. Now, those articles cover digital lending, multi-banking, and PFM open banking use cases. Or alternatively, you can go straight to soprabanking.com/insights to find those articles plus many, many more on a wide range of important financial services topics. Also, make sure to keep an eye on our social media pages to keep up to date with our latest insights, including loads of great webinars and conversations like this one. So thank you again, Alex. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.